What's going on YouTube? Today I bring you my wide receiver rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. Very, again, early looks obviously, but nonetheless we're going to start learning a bit about the receivers of next year's draft class. Also, earlier we just uploaded a video on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is more than likely going to be traded at this point. If you want to go watch that, it's up on the channel. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Starting off with my wide receiver number one, there's a lot of kind of toss-up in this spot, and for a hot second, John Metchie was my number one, but here we're going to have Chris Olave out of Ohio State. He's got, fine enough size for a receiver, 6'1", going into his senior year here at Ohio State, 20 years old at this point. Very good route running, and very good hands, and also a solid catcher. This guy makes some crazy catches at times. Really fun player to watch. Where he does definitely kind of lack is his play after the catch ability is far from elite. Definitely could work on that. He's like he's not the worst at making guys miss, but he just really does not pick up much yards after the catch. As long as there's people in front of him, he has kind of trouble with that. Elusiveness, again, he can make a guy miss, but he's not like a good elusive player. And the speed, I'm not saying he's slow, but he's definitely not that top tier speed you look for in some of your other receivers. Far from like a Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Tyreek Hill type guy, and really not even on the same level as some of those second tier guys. So there's a few weaknesses to him, but overall I feel like Chris Olave is the most well-rounded receiver in this class. Again, besides that play after the catch ability, really all around a solid receiver. So coming in here at my wide receiver number one is Chris Olave. Number two, we have Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Treylon Burks has some very nice size. 21 years old. He's going into his third year here at Arkansas. Obviously has very nice size and is a very physical receiver. You're really not going to get more than this guy in terms of physicality coming out of college. Hyper athletic and super big upside because he is kind of playing in not obviously the best team there in Arkansas and stuff, not the best quarterback in the world. So his production has been kind of a little bit lackluster so far at Treylon Burks, so far at Arkansas for Treylon Burks. But again, he has the size and the physicality and stuff, but his hands are a little bit of a concern. I think he had around an 8% drop rate or something like that. It was higher than you would definitely like, and also similar to Chris Olave, just not the best run after the catch ability. A great physical receiver and a great catcher as well, but just not much after the catch. And that's considering if he makes the catch at all. Again, he's not it's hands kind of, it's not a big issue, but still more than you'd like. Really actually reminds me of DK Metcalf a lot in the way they play. Again, that size and physicality as well as athleticism to their play. I think this could be a guy that, definitely has a much higher stock than Metcalf though, because we obviously saw that, just because you have physical traits just because it seems like you only have physical traits doesn't necessarily mean that you're just going to be that in the NFL. We've seen that with DK Metcalf already, who's well on his way to being a top tier receiver in the NFL, if not already is a top tier receiver. So Treylon Burks here at number two, I do like a lot. Number three, we have John Metchie III out of Alabama. He's kind of got that prototypical size for a smaller, speedier type guy. Here in his third year at Alabama, he's a very elusive wide receiver. He's great at making guys miss after the catch. His route running is really good. I mean, it's not like Jerry Jeudy good, but it's kind of near that level. Also super explosive. He uses that combination of his speed with his route running to make some big plays at times. And also, just has a ton of upside because really, his first year he was the number 5 receiver. And last year he was the number 3 receiver. Well, this year he's going to be the number 1 receiver. And I think, for being a number 3 receiver, he played very, very well last year. So we'll see how he handles being a number 1. But really, besides that, I think there's only one true weakness to his game, and that's the fact that he does have a way too high of a drop rate. I think it's 10% or something. If you're dropping every 1 in 10 passes, that's definitely something you need to work on. We saw that with Jerry Jeudy this year, had some drop issues, but something that's honestly at the end of the day pretty fixable. And again, his hands are the one obvious weakness to his game. Otherwise, besides how is he going to handle being a number 1, that it is all there for John Metchie, and he can very easily be the number 1 I think he could have the best season yet out of the last 5 big Alabama receivers. You had Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy. I think he could be the best out of all of them, honestly. Number 4, we have David Bell out of Purdue. This is a guy that got brought to my attention by Broshmo. Pretty much brought up the fact that if you like George Pickens, you should love David Bell. And God, after looking at him, do I love David Bell? Very good hands. I think he's a great route runner, and again, a ton of upside because they're at Purdue. You're not exactly dealing with the best quarterback play in the world. Obviously he's not the fastest back and is not going to create those big plays for you, but he gets the job done. An incredible possession receiver. I forgot exactly what it is, but he has an extremely low drop rate, and overall, this guy is just really, really solid. So again, David Bell could be my wide receiver number 1, depending on his year at Purdue, but I really do like David Bell. Very, very solid receiver here. Number 5, we have Justin Ross out of Clemson, and Justin Ross is a bit of an interesting prospect. At 6'4", 205, obviously has the size of the elite receivers, and again, sort of similar to DK Metcalf, although they have pretty different styles of play. Super athletic and super physical. I love that about him, and naturally, again, he's shown that he has a huge amount of upside. What suffers with Justin Ross is he doesn't have those kind of athletic traits that, say, DK Metcalf or Treylon Burks do. He's athletic, but he's not the fastest guy in the world. His hands, he struggles with sometimes catching, and also his routes are far from being like some of the other guys in this class. Not to mention the fact that he just had surgery, I believe, on his back or his spine or something like that. Obviously, not going to be good for him. Probably not going to play this year. If he does, it's not going to be a huge sample size, more than likely. So I could definitely see his stock taking a fall unless, something happens, he does play well or whatever. For right now, I feel like 5 is a good spot for him. He is a guy that I feel potentially could just be his athletic traits, and that's pretty much it. But, we'll have to see. I think he was a nice compliment to T. Higgins when he was at Clemson. I also think his play was naturally improved a lot by Trevor Lawrence, obviously. So we'll have to see with Justin Ross, but I could very well see him not making it on this list next year. So number 6, we have Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. Chris Olave's teammate. Bit of a smaller guy, just a little bit smaller than Chris Olave. But here in his third year at Ohio State, very athletic. And once again, a great route runner. A huge amount of upside, once again. But he just has two little things that I really don't like about him. He's going to have to show me a lot this year, especially being the wide receiver 2. He's not put up good production, at all, even with that offense around them. And so I am a little concerned because even if he does finally have a good year here at Ohio State, he'll still be the number 2. So he's facing number 2 corners, and he's not the priority. So, it's kind of like with Georgia, the corners last year. Everyone had Eric Stokes higher than Tyson Campbell, but he was facing all the number 2 corners. So you're naturally going to look better. So I just, his hands are definitely not even close to Chris Olave, in my opinion. There's a few too many red signs about him right now that I can't like him any higher than this. Maybe shouldn't even be this high for me personally. A lot of people do like him, but I really don't understand why yet. He can be great this year, but he's definitely not shown enough yet this last 2 years. So number 7, we have George Pickens out of Georgia. Similar to a lot of these guys, this class is very much filled with a bunch of big, athletic, go up and get it receivers. Like some other guys, athletic, great size, love his routes, and he's a physical receiver. But again, he suffers, with his lack of speed. He's not slow, but he's not fast. And run after the catchability, again, is just not there for this guy. But also the fact that he, I forgot his exact injury, but I think he's something with his knee. He's going to be hurt for most of, if not all of this year. So, he could very much go back for another year. George Pickens, I do really like him. I really do love him. I had him as a first rounder originally. He would be a lot higher on this list if not for the injury, but also the fact that I'm just starting to feel like not all of these big athletic guys are going to succeed in the NFL, and definitely not all of them are going to be DK Metcalf. And I feel like out of all those big-sized guys, I think I'd rather take Treylon Burks over a lot of these other guys. So I have George Pickens down here at 7, but again, can be much higher, can be much lower. It really depends on the rest of the class more than him this year. So we'll have to see. Number 8, I have Romeo Doubs, or Dobbs, you'll have to tell me in the comments. Out of Nevada, nice size. He's not like the same size as some of these other guys, but nice enough size. In his senior year here at Nevada, he's kind of been very much under the radar. Enjoyed a nice breakout campaign last year. If he can replicate something of similar production that he did last year, he can very much be a first rounder and way higher on this list. I think, there at Nevada, you're not playing the best competition, but again, a similar year, he can be a first rounder. It definitely helps that Carson Strong is back as quarterback over there. Route running, I love it. Super elusive, and I also love the physicality on this guy, even though he's not the biggest, most athletic person in the world. Catching as a whole could use a little bit of work. I mean, he's elusive, but he's not exactly like a speed threat. Again, not slow, but not fast. And play after the catch, it's just something to work on. It's not a big deal. Honestly, for Romeo Doubs, I'm going to call him Dobbs right now, I don't feel like there's a lot wrong with him. It's just more like, it's 1 year. Let's see how he does in his senior year. Can he replicate it? Like competition, is it going to be a big deal? Stuff like that. So we'll just have to see from Romeo Doubs this year, but I definitely have my eyes on him, and I could definitely see him being higher on the list by the end of the year. Number 9, we have Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. And, easily the smallest guy on this list because he's only 5'11", 182. Big speed threat. Definitely the best speedy receiver in this class. And with that, comes the natural big playability on this guy. Could be a slot monster in the NFL, honestly. I think that could be a great fit for him. And also super elusive. Really, there's not a ton of weaknesses to Dotson's play. He drops a bit more passes than you like, and also really does lack that physicality just because he is that smaller, speedier guy. He's not like super small, but he definitely has one of the smaller builds that you'll find. There's a lot to like about Jahan Dotson. I want to see a big year of production for him to be any higher than this, really. I want to see him in his senior year really show out there. And really just show that he's, better than the 9th receiver, because I think he can be. Well, he definitely can be, but for right now, I feel like this is a proper spot for him, so we'll see how this season plays out for him. And then number 10, a guy that a lot of people are really high on is Drake London. I understand why some people like him so much. I mean, 6'5", 210, obviously a super big dude, super athletic, and physicality off the charts. I get that. Great contested catch receiver too. Beyond that, I really don't see what everybody loves this guy so much for. His production has been very lackluster his first 2 years there at USC. I can't talk. His first 2 years were not that productive. He was the number 3 receiver, but I don't know how he's gonna. I don't really predict him to handle being a wide receiver number 1 that well. I think this is a guy that a lot of people are going to be really high on early, and then he's going to probably be like a very late round pick by come draft time, unless I'm totally wrong and he does show out this year, which I hope he does. I never hope any of these guys fail. I just really don't see it from Drake London. Play after the catch ability is pretty horrible, to be honest. He's not the worst at like making guys miss, but he just does not create yards after the catch. And, just lacks in speed as well. Like I said earlier, not all of these big, tall, physical guys are going to succeed, like a DK Metcalf or whatever. And if I had to take one that I think would have the least good chance of replicating a DK Metcalf-like career, I'm going to take Drake London, just because I really don't know if there's anything else other than like his size and physicality. Hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it quite yet from Drake London. And then some other guys you just want to take note in right now. Jakari Robertson out of Wake Forest. Really nice speed threat, but way more than just a speed threat. I want to see a bit more from him this year at Wake Forest, but could make this list pretty soon. Reggie Robertson Jr. out of SMU. Reminds me in some ways of Courtland Sutton, but again, just want to see a bit more from him. Need a big year from him. And then Charleston Rambo, just kind of a guy that I'm got my eye on. I don't really expect anything special from him, but I think he has the traits there to potentially be something special. But that is my receiver rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. Way too early, obviously, but it's just fun to do it right now. Let me know what you guys thought down below. What are your receiver rankings? Any guys that I should check out that I didn't list here? Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.